Hey guys, in today's video, we're going to demonstrate how you can utilize Vendorsync if you're also already using Hubdoc. What this will allow you to do is to grab the CSV files from Hubdoc, pull the transactions in, and actually push them into QuickBooks Desktop. The goal being to provide you solutions where you can continue to use the workflows you're most comfortable with just across multiple platforms, the true hybrid solution. So what we'll do is we're going to get started by heading over to Hubdoc, and of course I've already logged in. I'm going to grab one of our quick CSVs, we'll download this thing real quick, and we can kind of move on from that point. In a moment I'm going to come back to the CSV, but just very quickly here, let's go in, we're going to go to our chart of accounts, let's create a brand new bank account for this, we'll call it Hubdoc. Obviously, you normally wouldn't do it that way, but this is to just demonstrate that we're going into a brand new, nice, clean account. While I set this up, of course, it's going to be important. We want to set up our financial institution. So we happen to use Chase. We'll go Add Account. That's an important step because it actually sets the Intuit Bank ID number. There's one extra step that we need to deal with here. The download that we receive from Hubdoc, it does require just a little bit of finesse to make it work appropriately inside of Vendorsync at this time. You need to structure the data, so what you can do is if you go to your import, if you click here it says how should it look, go to download the template. When you download this template, this is the CSV file that would come from Hubdoc. You've got your structure to it, your date, your description, amount, of course, as well as check numbers. What we're looking to do is we need to organize this stuff in the same format as the import will allow. So we ask that you copy paste the details in. Transaction date, check number, amount can all go into one column, positive and negative. The payees are not going to most likely exist at this point in time, but if you did add payee names from the checks, they would then transfer over and you would have those and it would be useful as well. And then of course the memo. This is still saved as a CSV. We'll click Save, close out, and now let's take that information over to our Vendorsync. We'll go Browse. We're going to grab the file we just created, and let's just pull this open, upload, give it a second here, and it's going to pull all of the transactions right in. So again, we're going to have that structure, the nice format to it. You can see we're into the brand new account. And what you're going to notice right away is all of these highlighted lines. Each of these highlighted lines are transactions that are automatically being suggested based off of the vendor list within your file. For those of you new to Vendorsync, the way this is done is we actually are syncing from your QuickBooks Desktop company file the actual vendor list and the chart of accounts both, so we can create a connection or a correlation, if you will. And then you can also set up aliases, and I'll show you that in just a quick moment. What's great about this, especially if you're doing a large rebuild with a large amount of data, or after you've done a month or two, you start to build up all the names that you're going to use over and over again. So of course you'd want to normally go through at the beginning and review, make sure everything's looking good. But once you feel comfortable with it, you can actually come right up here, and I'm going to go accept all suggestions. That's going to apply names to all of those ones we just saw. The next step, if we come up here, we can actually choose to look at the categorized versus uncategorized. So now we've got 63 transactions left. That's it. So if we wanted to come through here, I would then go Memo. I want to sort by that to try to get ones close to each other. And hey, Chromebooks, one of our favorites. We can actually do a filter by text here. If I start to type it in, now I can click the checkbox if there's a large amount of them. Again, that rebuild process, check them, add on, select a vendor, and it appears we don't actually have the vendor in the system at the moment. Great, let's add it on real fast. Put the name in. You can actually have a different vendor name and a company name, and they would actually act as kind of like an alias, but we also provide another place for aliases as well. And then the most important is the account. So you can set this up and actually apply the account right away. Or if you do not have an account assigned, when you go to export transactions in a moment, it's going to pop up a list of any of the actual vendors being used that don't have an account related to them, so you can do that sync process, which is great. You noticed by me adding Chromebooks into my vendor list, it very quickly actually updated and automatically suggested the Chromebooks name. Now, the purpose of the filter is because you can select it and you could go update those, and it would have automatically updated them. But since they're categorized now, they went away. I'll clear the filter here, brings back the remaining ones. Now let's come back here, go Categorize Transactions. And now you're seeing a list of all of the different transactions with the names already suggested to it, as well as the categories we are telling them to go to. Now, real quickly here, you'll notice on this specific one, Frontier, we haven't actually put a category to it. And there's probably some other ones as well. So what I'm going to do is at this point, we would actually go import. We're going to actually, I should say, export here, entire page, everything that's being seen. This may take a quick moment because it's reviewing the information, and then we're going to get that pop-up I was talking about. The reason this is so important is if you're just getting started with this application, you've got 400 different vendors, you're not going to want to go through and have to assign an account to every vendor every single time. So the structure we set up allows you to go through your normal workflow, pull data in, and as you add vendors, if you don't have a category, well, let's just put it in there real quick. Once we have these all set up, we can actually come right in, go sync vendor updates. So we'll give this a quick moment. We can now see it's starting to do its process. It's authenticating straight to QuickBooks. It's connected. And now what it's going to be doing is it's actually adding in any of the new vendors we may have had, any new accounts we may have had, and making the relationship between those as well. So we should be able to go in and look at Frontier with utilities and see that inside our QuickBooks file. So let's go Vendors, Vendor Center, Frontier. We'll go Edit Vendor, and Utilities is now there.